All right, all right. Happy Friday. We are talking about how to get you back to the money as always, because it's Friday. I just got paid. I did not just get paid. I wish I just got paid. All right. So I am Anastasia. I am your Grow with Google Southeast Regional Coach. I am here with Seth. Seth is going to do his intros. He's going to talk to you a little bit about TrueSeed, and then we're going to jump into the content. There's no need to beat around the bush because you guys want to get in, get to the bag, and then get out. All right. So, Seth, I'm going to hand it over to you, and then we're going to get started.
Awesome. What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Glad to be here with you all. Today, we are back with building from our last module, which was focusing on ICP, Ideal Customer Profile. It's a great segue into how to use that messaging and transfer that into your website in a way that helps turn your visitors into clients. I'm going to talk a lot about the psychology of this website thing that we are all, of course, feeling some type of way about, right? So if you're a founder or, SMB owner, you feel like your site is stale, you feel like it's not really converting, what are you paying, these subscriptions for if it's not really serving you? I mean, this is going to be a jam-packed session to help alleviate all of those questions and all those negative feelings that you have about your website. All right, and then Anastasia is going to come back in after, and we're going to talk about how to use AI to build an effective website that allows for you to steamroll this, right? So you don't have any blocks, no more bottlenecks. You're going to have all these questions answered for you today. And one thing that I can say is that I've seen a lot of websites. All right, first, we're going to get into the juice of this, but the website is pretty much your first salesperson, okay? And there are a lot of horrible first sales folks out there because what I do know is over looking at over probably, I don't know, countless websites across industries is that there's a formula. All right, there's a formula. Once you've sold so many different products and services across X amount of industries, and you've analyzed and you've audited so many websites, you know what the formula is. So what I want to do is I want to bring that 10 years of experience to this session today so that you all can feel confident that what we are giving you in terms of a sales perspective is exactly what needs to transfer into your website for higher conversion. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that you walk away with three things. Okay. First, you're going to walk away with a website having copy that speaks directly to your customers' problems, and it makes it easy for them to take the next step. And what that's going to look like is you having a homepage draft. So we're going to reorganize, right? If you need to audit your homepage, great, because I'm going to give you exactly the formula and the framework of how you should build that out. All right. And then we're going to make sure that you have one clear next step that's very evident, that's easy for your visitors to take. And then last but not least, we want to make sure that you have copy that skimmers read. We're going to get into that a little bit more, but every single place where you have copy, it should be skimmable. All right. It doesn't need to be deep in paragraphs. You need to have that walking away from this session. All right. Awesome. So, of course, you guys know I like to start with the current state. All right. And I'm going to give you, let's spend a little time here, right? Because I think mindset is so important because you need to set your mind to truly understand how these websites are either enabling you or they're slowing your business down, right? Either they're helping or they're harming. And I think a lot of times, first, is that there is this brochure trap where your business site, it reads as a business card. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's all about you. It's all about, it's pictures of you standing and big headshots, nothing wrong with that, but it's about the mission and the services, and there's long lists and there's very vague sentences on what exactly it is that you do. And what it is it's causing cognitive overload. It's a lot of work for your buyers to quickly understand and figure out like what matters most to them. And so we need to get out of that, right? This is not a commercial, all right? This is not a time for us to brag on ourselves. This is a time for us to be completely focused on the potential buyer, not us, all right? Number two is a lot of these sites are really designed for the owner and not the buyer. Okay, and what I mean by that, okay, listen, design is subjective. We're not going to get into design today. And I think that having clean websites is a completely different topic because you can get crazy out there with all these different templates and what AI can do to make it look snazzy and fancy. But you'd be surprised at how many basic websites still do the trick. But what I mean for design for the owner is that in your lens, in your perspective, you are basing your website build based off of what you like. And if you don't come from the world of building websites that convert into customers, if you don't have that skill set, then we probably don't need to build it based off of what you like, but probably what works. All right. What's going to work? What is the buyer way of building this website? Okay. So yes, let's get out of our own personal, egos and I don't like this and it doesn't look this well. It's not about what it looks like. It's about the psychology of the website, right? And is it achieving the goals that we're setting out for it to achieve? And we're going to get into that in this session. All right. Number 3, this is a huge reason why websites don't convert is because we treat websites a lot of times like playgrounds and not homes. And what I mean by that is that usually when a playground is built, you're just done, right? You build it, kids come play, you leave it, it's there for the next 10 years, the next 5-10 years, whatever. But the problem is that usually there's not a lot of renovation that's happening to the playground, right? After a couple years, the slide is rusty, right? You got loose screws, on the swings. It's dangerous, okay? Homes, you renovate over time. You keep up, right? You keep coming back and thinking to yourself, how can we make the kitchen look better? Or, it's interesting, like when we first got here, we loved this, but now there's a new purpose in how we want to use this room, right? And so it's not a set it and forget it type thing. Your website is very iterative as you continue to grow, as you continue to have conversations, as you continue to sell. You're going to come back and use that feedback loop to improve your website. It's not a one-time project. You should always be thinking maybe once, I would say once a month, maybe a couple times. For me, I look at my website all the time, right? I've changed my website over the last 2 years countless times, right? From value proposition to problems being improved to how we fix the problems, right? It's always living and breathing, okay? So it's really important that you start treating it as if it's truly a part of your team and you're keeping it updated with what's happening within the company and how you guys are improving, okay? The last but not least part of this section is the proof, okay? And I think a lot of times we think of proof as having to have a lot of customers in order to build credibility, and it's absolutely not true. There's credibility in your experience. There's credibility in your dedication to solving the problem. There's credibility in how long you, right? Again, that's experience, right? How long you've been doing this and how, let's say, how much time you spend thinking about it and who you've brought on your team to help you solve this problem for your customer base, right? But the problem is that if we don't have those customers, then we tend to just kind of stay away from it. Right. So those are the 4 main traps that we have when it comes to these websites not converting. And we're going to make sure that you don't fall into these traps anymore. Okay. So let's just talk about the homepage today. Okay. We don't have to get into the services. We don't have to get into the about section, the contact us page. Let's talk about where the real action is taking place. And that's on the homepage. I'm going to start off by saying this. You've only got 5 seconds before that potential buyer is going to make the decision to stay or leave. You've got 5 seconds. That is super fast. It kind of makes sense though, right? Because now we're in a world of instant gratification. We're in a world of short video content just at our thumbs, right? We can quickly assess whether or not we're interested in something or not based off of our attachment to technology. So it's the same thing that's happening to your website, whether they're visiting your website for mobile or desktop. Okay, and so you've got to answer some questions really quickly in order to capture that attention and keep them there for conversion. Okay, now the 5-second test here for you is to ask yourself, can a stranger tell what you do, who it's for, and why now within those 5 seconds? Can a stranger tell what you do, who it's for, and why now in 5 seconds? And you can test that with friends, family, strangers, anyone that you just met. You can just ask them, hey, you mind looking at my website and just telling me if you can tell me what we do, who it's for, and why now in 5 seconds? And if the answer is no, then you know that you need to change your homepage. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to write for the visitor, not you. What do I mean by that? Every headline, every paragraph needs to answer what's in it for me. If a section is about anything outside of what is in it for me, how is this related to me? If it doesn't answer those questions, then you're losing customers. Okay. What, who, why now? Okay, that needs to be above the fold. What you do, who you help, and then one clear step, right? And if they can't answer those questions, then they're going to leave. And then last but not least, we have a guide to one action. I really advise for business owners to think about the one step that they want them to take, right? Make it easy for them to have a path towards where you want them to go. Is it a phone call? We'll talk a little bit more about it. What are those next steps that you can explore? But don't overload with a lot of different ways that they can take that next step. All right. Now let's get into this formula of the homepage. Okay. You've got 5 sections. You don't need to overcomplicate this. I think a lot of times we tend to think about our website homepage as, again, this opportunity to brag on us, right? Make you like wow your brain and think about all the different types of design patterns and ways that we can make you stay on the website. Of course, I think that there are some interactive elements that you have to have, which we should have, right? Maybe some animated pop-ups, right? Or when you scroll over, maybe you have some lifts, right? Maybe there's some color changes. Again, that's getting into a little bit of the design, but that does help in keeping those folks on the website. But really, from a sales messaging standpoint, in that hero section, that should be that headline, right? That hero statement. That is probably your nexus statement. And what I mean by nexus statement is a one-line sentence that basically points back to your solution, and it articulates the change or the undeniable fact of what you're attacking in your industry, right? A perfect example of that would be we now live in the subscription economy. Okay, like that's undeniable that there's a lot of proof behind that, and that's a great headline. And maybe underneath that hero statement, we have our value proposition. Okay, and that value proposition text only needs to be about 2 sentences max, right? So I would say think nexus statement. What's undeniable? Okay, how does that tie back to your solution? And we'll get a little bit more in detail inside the hero in just a second. But that's where you really want above the fold, okay? If you have a video, put it to the side, put it underneath, okay? Let that sentence really resonate, because you want folks to start thinking about how they are approaching changing their problem or their current state. The next section is the problem section. We're going to go directly into and hit them hard with what are the main problems that you are experiencing today, and let's list that in their words. Again, we're going to go through each one of these sections a little bit more in detail. After the problem is the solution. Okay, so now we need to match the solution to those problems, and it needs to be equal in terms of however many problems you have, that's how many solution points you're going to have. This is how we solve this problem. This is how we solve this problem. And it needs to be simple, and it needs to be one sentence. Okay. The next section is the proof. Now, you can get a little flexible with the proof. Sometimes you might see logos up top, but you should have a section where it's dedicated to the work that you've done. Maybe those are reviews, testimonials. Maybe those are some metrics that you have proven, because that's exactly where the brain is going to go, right? Okay, cool. Yes, I identify with the problem. Great to see this is how you approach solving it. But now I get a chance to actually see if you can really put the money where your mouth is. All right. And then last but not least, you got the CTA. It's a large CTA. Boom. This is what we want you to do. It's one clear next step. Okay. So you can get access to this deck so that you can have this to refer back to. Okay. Just message me here on LinkedIn and we can send you the link to this deck. All right. So getting into this hero section. All right. Again, the module that we started off with in ICP was really focused on getting to who you help solve which problem and the outcome that they achieve from working with you. And that is going to be that second paragraph underneath that hero statement. When I say what you do, it needs to be specific and concrete. It doesn't need to be, for example, we deliver solutions. Okay, you need to be very specific. If you're a roofing company, maybe that is we replace aging roofs. That is very specific. Or we clean houses weekly. Maybe you have a cleaning service, right? It's different from we provide cleaning solutions for the small market of Houston. It's weird. Just be very specific, okay? We don't need to overcomplicate it and try to make it sound sexy. Let's just be very simple and concrete, all right? Who you help is not everyone. It's not, you need to be able to weed people out. You also want your website to qualify folks so that if in chance, let's just hypothetically speaking, if we have everyone that comes to us, let's say our website is amazing and we're not clear on who we help, we might spend a lot of time wasted with folks who are never going to truly buy. So we do want to be very specific about who we help because it's an opportunity for us to also push those folks out who aren't supposed to be engaged with us, if that makes sense. Okay. So it's not anyone, it's not local customers. You want to be very specific about the demographic. And again, if you build your ICP, you know exactly who those folks are. So you can just pull from those sentences. Maybe it's an age range, right? Maybe it's specific to the region that they're in, and maybe it's specific to the problem that they solve. Okay, sorry, the problem that they're experiencing. Okay, and then that CTA, you want to absolutely have that CTA there. Something really simple above the fold. It matches the CTA at the bottom of the page. Maybe that's book a call. Maybe that's get in contact with us. Maybe that's submit, a form, whatever it may be. But just have that there. Okay. I think that covers the hero section pretty well. Again, you really need to win at this point because you got 5 seconds. They're probably going to spend about 2 seconds here. Half of that time will be in the hero section. All right. Now let's talk about the problem solution. If you hit them hard and let's just say you knock it out the park with the hero section, what we need to do is we need to get into that pain. All right. And so when I think about sales and the journey in which you build trust, you want to be really great at articulating where your customers are before they meet you. What do they experience when they do meet you in terms of what they're looking for, how they engage with you, right? So it's before, during, and then what are the results after, right? So once we work with you, what happens? That pain is all about before. So you really want to get into that world and you want to use this painless, okay? Maybe it's, again, if you have a service company that comes in and fix, the roofs of interior homes, you can start to speak in that language. You got to make sure that it's in their words, not your words. So what's simple, right? Maybe it's not we provide roof restoration services. Maybe it's something like, hey, you notice a stain on the ceiling. You're wondering how bad it is, how much it'll cost, and if it can wait. Those are all of the thoughts that someone is having, right, prior to reaching out to you or looking for a solution. Okay, so they are already speaking these sentences in their brains to themselves. You've got to capture that and then turn it around and give it back to them. Because psychology tells us if we start naming problems of potential prospects, and I'll give you a couple examples of this. If we start naming the problem better than they can describe it themselves, psychology tells us that you'll start to lean in and trust that I have the solution. For example, if you're a doctor and you start asking questions around why you're here today versus someone who's coming in for the first time, and before you do any type of diagnostic or ask any type of questions, you just give them some type of medicine, right? That's eroding trust immediately. Like, wait, how do you know what I need, right? But if I start asking you about this itch that you have and when did it surface, and well, what did the bumps look like, and on a scale of 1 to 10, what does it feel like? Oh, okay, great. So it's not this. So you're probably experiencing this. That's the same effect that we're having on the website, right? So that's why you have to get really great at naming the problem so that you can build that trust. The next step of that section is truly focusing on how you fix it. All right. And you've earned a lot of trust if you've captured the pain in their words correctly. If you've hit that home, then hearing the solution, this is an alley-oop. This should be, again, one-liners, maybe 3 steps. 3 is your magic number. If you have 3 main pain points and you can match that to 3 ways that you fix it, beautiful. Keep it simple. I love a lot of white space, right? I love, real simple design with a couple of accents because it should be, again, skimmable. We'll get to that in just a second. Now, those 3 steps, right? I don't want you putting a full methodology. It doesn't need to be 12. It doesn't need to be, hey, well, what we do is, we go through, we use our proprietary algorithm to get into how your home was actually built. And once it is, once we understand the area that it's in and what materials were used, we then plug it into our proprietary software that analyzes. No one cares about any of that. Okay, let's stay away from that. Let's keep it simple. All right. Hey, we inspect, we quote, we repair, usually in 1 visit. That's all someone wants to hear, right? And that it sounds a lot more effective than going through this long list of how you think your product or your service completes or achieves fixing this problem. All right. Because buyers buy outcomes, not features. I'm going to say it again. Buyers buy outcomes, not features. So talk about what they get, not what you do. Talk about what they get and not what you do. That's your problem and solution section. Okay. I would say have the problem above the fold, again, just like here, right? Problem, that's one, that should take up the whole area of the site, and the solution should do the same thing right after, okay? Now, proof section. This is a layup, honestly, at this point, all right? We've got them. They've been on the site longer than 5 seconds. They're reading the problems. Once they're like, word real estate is what I call it, right? You want to take up as much real estate and not waste any of it as possible. So if you've got them here to the proof section and they've skimmed through and they've identified and they like the way that you solve the problem, here's where we just knock it out the park. Okay, it's a shortcut to trust. And a lot of times I think we depend on logos. We don't have to depend on logos, guys. It can be a review, okay, with a headshot and maybe 2 sentences, but that is the reason why we're also capturing what's happening after our customers are experiencing life with us. So in your sales process, there should be some type of form or feedback that you gather once you complete your service, because we want to take that and then surface it back to our website. Okay, that's what that feedback loop is for. Ratings are great. Okay, make sure that they're real. Don't lie. Okay, name those customers, get permission. Make sure that they give you specific outcomes, and you can also talk about your experience, right? The years that you have in business, the certifications. You can also share a little bit about your story here, not too much, but why you're dedicated to it if you're just starting off and you have absolutely no proof at all. Okay, maybe you have some awards that you can speak to as well. That's perfectly fine. I think photos are really powerful before, after. If there's a way you can capture that, please use this opportunity here on the home page to display that. Just like when you're on Amazon and you're buying products for the first time, right? Yes, you are looking at the marketing of the product placement and those product images, but what do we tend to always do? Go to the reviews. And then what do we like to do? Look at the photos, right? Oh, okay, cool. This is what their space looked like. And then when they had this in, okay, great, got it. So let's bring that into the homepage, right? And you don't want this buried at the bottom. If you can surface this a little bit throughout the website, I would say try to. But if you need this section just to brag on yourselves, go all for it. Go all in. Okay? Now let's talk about the last section here, the CTA. And I'm going to combine this with the skimmer rules. All right. So CTA is pretty simple. If you don't know what CTA is, it means call to action. All right. And we need one clear action. You'd be surprised at how many websites I've looked at where there's 7 different things that you can do. And it's confusing. I don't know where you want me to go. And I'm already thinking about the kids that I got to pick up and what I'm going to cook for dinner and someone's email that I have to respond to. So much going on in my life that I don't have time to think about what you want me to do. Just make it very clear, make it very simple, okay? Because nobody reads. Nobody reads. They just scan. So again, you want short paragraphs, 3 lines max. Do not go over 3 lines anywhere on your website unless there's a page dedicated for deep reading, okay? Headlines need to tell the story, okay? You need to have bold key phrases. You want punches, all right? Punches, really bold. Use bullets for lists. Make it very simple. All right. And then I think you should always have a phone number somewhere or an email that someone can easily access at all times throughout the site. Okay. Now, these are the things that I don't want you to do. It's really instant bounce triggers. Okay. Stock photos don't really perform well for sites where you need conversion. I'll be honest with you. If you just have an advertising site and you just need to have something up that speaks, for you guys to have, cool. But if you're trying to gain customers, I would say that it's really tough to do that with a lot of stock photos. So if you can use them sparingly or in the beginning stages before you take pictures of yourself or your company or what you guys do, maybe invest into a photographer to actually bring that real life experience there, because it again instantly builds that trust. And remember, your website is the first salesperson. So what do you want? How do you want your first salesperson to communicate within those first 5 seconds that you have these new customers potentially on the site? All right. If you bury your contact information in the site, or if it's nowhere where they can easily access it, then also folks will get frustrated and they'll leave. And then again, multiple CTAs also bounce folks out. One primary action per page. What you'll also see is that the CTAs, usually throughout the site, in each one of these sections, you don't have to have it in every single section, right? Contrary to popular belief, you can have a few sections where there isn't a CTA, and it forces them to scroll. Okay. Now, if you're selling CPG, maybe this makes a lot of sense for you to, hey, buy here or shop now or look at this section for sure. If you're service based, if you are product based, right, in terms of selling software, you don't have to have a CTA in every single section. Okay. So this should give you everything that you need in order to audit your website homepage. What we're going to do now is I'm going to bring Anastasia back up so that she can show you how you can use AI to start to steamroll and get that momentum going with how you want this website to truly look. What's up, Anastasia?
All right. Hey, and I'm already getting Gemini ready and loaded because I think, so we're going to start. I already have a prompt together for us to kind of get started with a few things, but I think the first thing I really want us to do is actually start with the audit. So I had this all copy pasted and ready. So we're just going to do a new chat. Let's see. We're going to hit this. I'm going to hit enter on this one, but we're going to come back to this, right? Okay. And we're going to do a new chat because I want to start with auditing your website. And we are going to actually audit my consulting site, because I think the thing that gets people, like, that becomes a hurdle for them is, I don't know where to start. Like, you already have an existing website. You've already given them the tools and the framework. They don't know where to start with this, right? So we are going to start with my website. So I'm going to share the tab so you can actually see what my website looks like.
Ooh,
She's very pretty, very pretty. She got a little, it's a stock photo. you know, but like you can
That's
see, so
okay.
we
That's
got,
okay. But that's
but
you.
we do
You
have
see?
actual, that's me. So we have me, but you notice the focus is not on me, right? The focus is on the business, right? And I think that's the thing that a lot of people miss, that I think you did a really great job of articulating, that it is about the business, not you. You're not selling
Mm-hmm.
you, right? So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with, let me get a, grab that link, and then we are going to say, the persona I want to give Gemini is you are a small business consultant, right? Okay, and I want you to audit my website, right? So you are going to review my current homepage and be direct and specific. So that's the one thing I think a lot of people don't ask. Um, they don't ask for like critical
Mm-hmm.
like feedback, right? You
Mm-hmm.
just say, "Hey, can you look at my homepage?" And it's just like it's going to tell you some nice stuff because she doesn't want to upset you, you know?
Right.
But feedback has to be critical, it has to be actionable and direct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then what I'm going to do is drop the link here. And then the next thing I'm going to do, because you had a really beautiful prompt that was like, you know, gave it the order of like, do the
Mm-hmm.
5-second test, tell me where they bounce, tell me the problems I have, what to fix first, right? What to keep. Don't
Right.
give me generic advice, right?
Yes.
Because it is, they do, the AI really is, I tell people all the time, you have to tell it what you need, right? If you don't get oddly specific and tell it what you need, it won't, it's not going to give you what the output that you're trying to get, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so let's get that. So we got the prompt that you beautifully engineered. We're going to drop that in space. All right. And like it says, we start with your 5-second test. Read only what's above the fold. Tell me, do you understand the basic who, what, when, where, why, all the things, right? And you're going to pass, fail. Then you're going to tell me where visitors bounce. Do you know how much time, effort, and money this is saving just putting the prompt in and having Gemini do this as opposed to having, let's say, if I wanted to hire someone to do this?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, like right now, it's thinking, it's looking at the website. All right. It's going through and it's telling me, can you tell what I do? No. Can you tell who it's for? No. Can you tell what they should, why they should care about it? Is there one obvious next step? Now, to be fair, my website is a lot, it's consulting, it's very jargon heavy because it is aimed at emerging fund managers and founders, right? But so it's telling you pass, fail, what is this? Where do you need to go? Where do people
Mm-hmm.
bounce? It's giving you all the things, right? Why they leave, what are the problems? The problem says about me instead
Right.
of about them, blah, 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 blah. There's no clear next step. So it's telling you all of the things that you go through instead of you having to say, hey, I'm going to go hire somebody to do this, or I'm going to do this like step by step, right? It did it all for you, right? Now the other thing I want to tell you is that you should be working to refine this, because like I said, there's some stuff in here that it's saying, hey, you know, this failed, that failed, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, what's interesting is that I used Gemini to write the copy on the website. So
Right.
because I did not write I'm not writing website copy off the top of my head. We're not doing that, you
Right.
know. But let's see. So let's say it's telling me, hey, we want, give me a better headline, right? So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to put in here, give me 3 headline options that pass the 5-second test. Okay. And let's see what it says. Now, the other thing too is you want to make sure that it gets your vibe, it gets the way that you speak, right?
Yep.
And so this is like early stage positioning, narrative advisory. And I'm going to tell it, hey, I love these, but this is not my vibe, right? Never talk to a client like that. Tone should be down to earth. warm, and direct. Don't use a bunch of jargon. And make it punchy. Because that's the other thing too. Like, you have a brand guide, right? You have something
Yes.
that says, this is how we work. This is how we speak to clients, right? You
Hopefully.
can always, if you have something like that, you can always come in and boom, upload it, add it,
Right.
and it will use that as a reference point. But here, I just was like, look, this is not how I talk. I don't
Mhm.
talk like this. I would never say this, right? Okay, so then it goes, hey, this is what I do. I help you figure out what to say, where to focus, how to win. You know, that makes sense. I think that's easier. Clear
Mhm.
positioning and sharp strategy for startups, funders, and accelerators. Very easy, right? And then I think option 3 is probably the one that sounds most like me. Stop guessing your next move, get your narrative, market, and pitch right, right?
Mm.
So we're going to refine this a little bit more. Love option 3, but let's make it less wordy.
And the sub headline is pretty good.
Yeah, subheadline is great though.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want you to make it a little less wordy because ain't nobody gonna read that.
Right.
People don't read, right?
No, they skim.
So, right. So, and then when you talk about skimming, so the other thing I would tell you too is that not only are people skimming, right, but AI is skimming, right?
That's good. Yep.
So you see it comes in and it's like, hey, it gave me some more options. And so then the last one I'm going to say is let's use option A and optimize for AI enabled search. So the other way you'll hear people talk about it is GEO as opposed to SEO. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's generative engine optimization, right? And so you see, it says, hey, to optimize option A for both human visitors and AI engines, the page needs to balance human scannability with machine extractability. AI tools do not read metaphors, they look for exact definitions, unambiguous target roles, and synthesized text, right? So then here it went in and it got straight down, no BS. Get your story, market, and pitch right. This is the sub headline. It's giving you all of an entity block that you can put in because we all know you can embed, do like embedding on the back end of your site. It's telling
Mm-hmm.
you direct service summary for the AI extractable entity block. This is exactly what it is because you want when AI crawls your site, you want it to be able to say, this is what it is. Let me make sure that this surfaces right in
Yes.
this AI enabled search because that's the thing that you have to think about. Gemini, Chat, Perplexity, Claude, all of their friends are scanning your website, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that you are optimized. And then it also comes in and tells me, hey, why does this rank in site for search? It tells you
Okay.
why the structure works. It tells you, gives you an AI technical, that's why I said GEO. So it gives you the technical search checklist telling you how to set this all up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then boom. And again, we haven't even hit the 10-minute mark on this,
Wow.
right? So you can refine all of this and get exactly what you need to copy paste into your site in the amount of time that it would take for you to find the right consultant who would be best fit for your business and then email them. Not even get something back from them, just email them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mm-hmm.
and then before you get an
Yeah.
estimate, it's like in the time it takes for you to find the right consultant, you can use Gemini as your thought partner and come up with all of the things you need to do to just get something out there, right? Like,
Right.
you said something that I think was really important is that your website is not, we think of it as like a playground and not like a house, but it is a house. You should
It is.
always be iterating. You should always be renovating and refining. You should always be coming back. I probably go back every quarter. I can't do once a month because I got other things going on in my brain, but I do about
Right.
once a quarter. Review my
Mm-hmm.
website, do an audit, check it, make sure one, it's still aligned with where I want to go directionally for my business, but then also make sure, like you said, so like this geo thing is new. This is
Mm-hmm.
new. Like
It
you,
is.
everybody's been SEO, SEO, SEO. people are just now talking about how AI searches your site. If you have not thought about that directionally, that's something right now you need to start thinking about, right? That's something you need to say, okay, how do I then use the tool to help me better show up in the tool? Because that's what's happening, right?
Yes.
So that's why I say, like, in the time it would take for you to just do a quick search, a quick Google search to see who would be the best person, the experts on this. Gemini has already done it, given you the context, and help you create copy that will convert, right? Not only that will convert, but will help you show up in search better. All right. So now we're going to go back to, let's say you started from zero, right? I'm going to open the sidebar, ignore the fact that I got 50, 11 chats. I never delete them because you never know when you're going to need them. So this is straight from our prompt playbook. I made up a company, Atlanta Resi Roofing. We talked about who the ideal customer is, their top 3 problems, what makes me different, and what is my desired CTA. And then we gave it the structure: hero, problem, solution, proof, blah, 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 blah. Yep. All right. And then this is what it came back with. Again, in under 5 minutes, this is what it came back with. It's like, hey, here is your hero. Get a free estimate. Serving Metro Atlanta since 2021. These are differentiators that I gave. I just like literally Googled things about contractors. Like, I've never hired a contractor for our house. That is not my wheelhouse, nor do I know anything about roofs. So I Googled it all and we just put it in there. And this is what it came up with. And it all comes out and it looks good.
It does.
It looks real, right? So again, look at this. I didn't even give it any proof. I gave it no proof. It made this up. So don't do that. Wow. I'm gonna say.
That's what I'm saying. Try not to lie. Try not to lie.
Made this up. Like, this is cool and all. However, I want you guys to take and put in actual testimonials, so that it is not, because when we talk about AI hallucination, this is what we mean, right? Like, it completely. I don't know who Sarah or David are. I don't know either one of these people. I don't know if fixed our leak in one visit. It's just, that's made up, right? Do not use that. Right. Yes. I want you to think about that. That is a placeholder. That's placeholder text. Tells you your track record, and then get your roof fixed right on the first time, right?
Yep.
Done. But again, imagine if I already had the tone of voice that I like to use. These are, my customers tend to be in these types of neighborhoods, like, right? So let me say, my customers tend to live in more affluent neighborhoods. And are super busy. So we need to get straight to the point. All right. Give me updated copy. And let's see what we get. Let's see. Oh, and you see how it changed it. So it started with Metro Atlanta's trusted roof repair. Now it's like premier roof repair and storm restoration for busy Atlanta suburbanites. I'm gonna tell it, don't use that word ever again. Protection, because we're not gonna use that word. Protect your home with single session assessments, elite craftsmanship, and zero wasted time. See how that compares to initially just protecting Atlanta homes with fast single session inspections and long lasting roof repairs. Like, you can see how the difference, how it changed the tone to fit the desired audience, right? And that's what I want you all to understand. Like, there's a lot of testing and refining that you can do with this without falling down a rabbit hole that sucks up your entire day, right? Again, I use AI in this exact way to write web copy for myself, and we just go back and forth. We go back and forth until it feels authentic. Right.
It's prompt engineering. You're just getting better and better at the prompt, but we have to give direction. And I think that's what's most important here, is that we're giving it good direction, and then we're talking to it as if it's an employee, a coworker.
Right. At no point am I talking to it as if it is a machine. I always, when I'm prompting, I'm talking to a marketing consultant that I actually would have hired, right? I'm
Mhm.
telling you the types of words that I would use and I would not use. So, like, for example, like here, never use the word suburbanite. I don't know why that word just offended me, but it did, you know. I
Yeah,
don't, and I mean, I live in
that
the
rubbed you the wrong
suburbs, but
way.
that word just like made me so mad. Like, nobody who says that,
Ever. You said don't
right?
ever use that word
Don't
again.
ever, never use that word. And so it came back, and it's like for Metro Atlanta homeowners, right? It still
Yeah.
keeps the elevated appeal. It's still keeping the we're talking to more affluent customers, right? And we're optimizing for speed because these are people who are incredibly busy. So it kept all that. It just lost that one word. It still kept Sarah and David, who we don't know, but it even changed their testimonials, right? The wording for their
Mm-hmm.
testimonials. So it's like they handled everything in a single visit, as opposed to, let's go to the original one. What we at? Where we at? Fix star severe leak in one visit. Flawless storm restoration process, right? Now, if we go to the more affluent customer, what
Mm-hmm.
they say, handled everything in a single visit, efficient, professional, thorough.
Yep.
Change the entire verbiage again so that it would fit that ICP, right?
Yes.
That's why on your prompt engineering, it is so important for you to provide as much context as possible. If you have your ICP, drop it in there, the real ICP that is as detailed as possible. If you have customer personas, I'm a fan of a persona.
Me
Those
too.
personas live somewhere. Drop
Yes.
them in. Drop them in. Remember last time we talked about building out a notebook using Gemini Notebook, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
should, let's see, boom. You can go straight to the notebook and say, hey, here is my brand notebook. Here is my
Yes.
customer profile notebook. Use this as a reference,
And
right?
if you need the
And
prompt playbook for ICP, we can give that to you. So make
yeah,
sure you
we got
connect
that.
with
We
us.
got that so that you can get back into it. But yeah,
Yep.
so I'm gonna pause here because I've been yapping, I've been showing my screen, I've been doing a lot. Let's pause. Okay. Okay, so how can I see we had a question about can you speak to how the report can help founders 2x their customer close rate and bring down CAC?
I don't know if JD, if he's still here, let us know which report you're talking about. Now, JD is a very affluent investor. So, I love this question. I just want to know which report we're talking about. Um,
Um,
but if
I
you are, I would say if you are now, maybe the report is the audit. I'm not sure,
That's what I think.
but
I think let's talk about. I think I'm going to infer it's the audit because you did mention the audit, the report, like the audit, putting that together.
okay.
So how can you help founders 2x their customer close rate and bring down CAC with a well-designed website?
That's a great question. I think that this all right, the website is going to be great for outbound opportunities. Okay, when I say outbound, I mean low intent, right? If you are spending marketing dollars on driving folks to your website, these are folks usually who have never heard of you before. And so it should help with increasing the top of the lead funnel, but the sales process is what needs to be optimized in order for you to speed up the time to close, right? The report and the audit of the website is really just our starting point. We're just trying to get them into the door, right? We don't have any control at that point outside of can we get you into a conversation? Can we get you to the next step? From there, we have to be able to have our sales infrastructure in place to know whether or not this is a qualified lead or it's not a qualified lead. It's all about qualification in terms of speed to close, right? How fast can you qualify in? How fast can you qualify out, right? Now, that will affect your customer acquisition costs if your website is on point, because if it is, that means what you're spending in your revenue tech stack, the tools for email, for LinkedIn, whatever, however it is that you're bringing in leads and where you're investing, you're going to see a lower cost if your website is optimized for conversion, because that first step of the website probably should be to have a conversation with you all. right? If you're spending money in those channels and you're not seeing any conversion to meetings, then that's a high customer acquisition cost that we're talking about because it's not working. So you're just throwing money down the drain. That's how I would approach that. What do you think, Anastasia?
No, I think that's like probably the best way to say that because the first thing when we talk about 2xing your close rate, it's not just the website, right? Like the website is helpful.
Right.
Understanding where people get lost, where people bounce, that is helpful, right? But that's not, like you said, it's the front door, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not even, it's the doormat. Let's say that it's the
The
curb
door.
appeal. It's
Right.
the look, it's the look, it's the
Mhm.
vibe. It's the do I even want to stop? You know,
Yes.
that's all the website's going to say. Do y'all want to stop? Do I want to learn more? Right? You're
Yeah.
having an efficient sales process that has been optimized. It's what's going to then come in and help with that close rate, right? It's
Yes.
that, and then understanding how well do you know your customer? Because if you don't know your customer, that's why the website's off. That's why all these other things are happening.
Right.
As far as how that relates to bringing down CAC, I think you're dead on. If you have optimized your site correctly, that should help with your customer acquisition costs. But I'm going to be honest, as we all know, customer acquisition cost kind of depends on who you're targeting. And there's a lot of factors that go into it
Yeah.
outside of just the website, right?
Yes.
Um, and I think so. You mentioned outbound. So can you tell the people real quick inbound strategy, outbound strategy, and how does the website kind of fit into that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, a lot of times for inbound, right, these are folks who have probably found you through referral or maybe through recommendation, right? These are folks who are very problem aware and also solution aware, right? And so they find you, they mean they have high intent. So the website there is just really probably after effect after they speak with you, right? They're probably going to your website just to figure out how to get in contact with you, right? They don't need to be sold. Maybe they'll browse, but inbound means high intent, which means that they already are looking at you as a potential provider for the service. Outbound is completely low intent. They've never heard of you before. You are a complete stranger. I need to feel confident and I need to have some trust built before I take a conversation, right? And so outbound is really important when you think about website because everything you are doing is going to drive them to your first salesperson, which is that website. So you have to invest into this website in order for you to capture outbound. And usually when you're in validation stage, let's say somewhere between $0 and $500,000 in revenue, you're really generating most of that from inbound referrals, meeting people in person, right? When you start to scale, that's when you're getting to outbound. And a lot of folks try to jump to outbound too quickly. Okay, so I would not jump to outbound unless you are already validated and maybe you're testing. You can test language now. I'm not saying don't test, but I'm saying do not invest into outbound until you have validated product market fit and also messaging market fit. Now, I also think that there is a report that JD is talking about, which is our TrueSeed sales motion analysis and diagnostic. So, how you actually sell throughout your sales process, we can give you an understanding of where you probably have bottlenecks in your stages of selling. And then that definitely affects the customer acquisition and the speed to close. So if you all are looking for that, that's on our website, trueseedgroup.com. You can go ahead and fill that out on our founder page and get some results.
Okay, so see, I love that like when you start talking about product market fit, message market fit, that's a whole different conversation. Like that has
Yes.
me lit up because you said something so true, especially when we talk about founder-led sales versus hiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to it got to be a lot of hand holding. It has to be a lot of I'm going out and I am trying to understand my customer. So that's why the inbound is going to make more sense in those earlier days because you're doing the
Mm-hmm.
customer discovery. You're trying to assess fit. You're trying to validate the business model,
Right.
trying to validate the idea. So most people who come to you, you're going to sell to your friends first. So
Yep.
those will be people who are high intent. And then
And
you're going to
network.
sell to friends of friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then once you have sold to strangers, and you've moved out of your network and you've been able
Yep.
to sell, first you sell to people you know, then you start selling to people you don't know, that's when you say, okay, we need to start focusing on that outbound machine. And oh wait, that's when I need to probably hire a salesperson,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And I think that's because I have that conversation with founders all the time, and that's a little bit off the segment, but It is such you made such a good point around it that I was like, we have to touch on that because so many times I talk to founders, whether they are tech or non-tech, and
Yeah.
they want to go straight from I have a business idea, I have my first customer, I'm hiring a salesperson, and I'm doing the
Also,
outbound engine, and that's not how that works.
oh, you're
That's
gonna
not
you're
how that
gonna
works.
you're gonna waste about $150 to $200,000.
Hmm.
That's how much that mistake costs.
Right, right. And I tell people all the time, a good salesperson is a master of the art of finesse, and the first person they know how to sell is themselves.
That's right.
So, like,
That's so true.
always keep that
I've
in
done it.
mind.
I've done it
Right,
before.
right. I do it all
Okay,
the time.
all the time. I
Right?
sell myself every day.
All day, every day. You're never not
Yep.
selling. And so you
Right.
have to think about it from that perspective. That's why, as an entrepreneur, particularly as you're starting to find your footing in that 0 to 5 kind of space,
Hmm.
you want to make sure that you are the one getting out, you're having the conversations, and you're building all of that funnel, you're building those reps, and then you're building the process. So, love that we were able to touch on that. I know we are coming up on time. We got about 5 minutes left. Give the people the mic drop, the one thing they need to know about getting that messaging together.
Do it. Get that messaging together. That is the mic drop. Do it. Fix your ICP and take the ICP and then throw it into the framework for the website. This is all simple. It doesn't need to be complicated. It can be really easy if you just, I think for most founders that I see that are successful, and I've worked with a lot personally, they're the ones that are going to take the time away from the business being right in front of them and thinking that I need to prioritize this email and I need to prioritize this deal. The founders that are the most successful are the ones that can step away from that and say, hey, I need to put time into the business over here. That it may not make an immediate impact like you think it will, but long term, right? If you put the work in and the discipline, sales is a discipline, sales is a skill that most business owners have never been taught a day in their lives, right? They usually start businesses because of they're good at something, right? Not because they're great sales folks. So that discipline means that you've got to take the time to learn how to speak in the language of your buyers. This is the time where you're going to do that and get better at it. So just do it. Just do the work. Stop
Mhm.
running from it. It's not going anywhere, and it's just going to affect you if you don't do it. So just do it.
Awesome, awesome. All right. And then for everybody who wants to learn how they can get better, stronger, quicker, faster with leveraging Google's AI tools, we have our AI professional certificate that you can always go in and deep dive into. It's
Do
at
that.
Grow with Google. Yes, please do it. Like I'm
Do
going to tell
that.
you, it's so you're going to go to growwithgoogle.com. There's a whole section on certificates. I also dropped in a link for a deeper dive for small group coaching. I have one small group coaching session left for the month of August. It will be next week. I'm going to also make sure that I have that on the LinkedIn feed and on YouTube and all the different places that this is streaming so that you guys can sign up. These sessions last for about an hour and we deep dive into your specific business case. Situations like this, we can't do it because there's so many people. We don't know so many different levels. But the way I do it, we get 10 folks together and we just yap, deep dive, answer your questions, support
Love
each
it.
other. It's a good time. So next session is going to be next Tuesday. So sign up, sign up, sign up. And that's all I got. I think we got just over a minute left. I got no notes. I think Seth, you did an amazing job when it came to talking about sales and how we can leverage AI to turn your first salesperson into your best salesperson,
Come on.
right?
Yes.
Come with it. Come with it. All
That's
right.
right.
So I will let you guys go. We will catch you. I will catch you, Seth, next month. We're gonna have a
Yes.
different module, different
I'm
chat.
with
But
it.
you also have some other workshops coming up with some of our other coaches, and so you guys keep your eyes out for that. And
Yes.
that's all we got. I'm gonna let y'all go. It's Friday.
Have a great one, y'all.